Mastering Git Repositories in AWS CodeCommit, a hands-on guide with a PoC for code changes. This podcast is brought to you by Business Compass LLC. We are an Amazon Web Services advanced consulting partner. We build and migrate workloads to Amazon Cloud. Our website is businesscompassllc.com. Our phone number is 973-638-2228. Our email address is contact@businesscompassllc.us. Introduction. Real-world scenario and project goals for implementing Git repositories in AWS CodeCommit. A reliable and secure version control system is crucial in today's fast-paced software development environment. AWS CodeCommit, a fully managed source control service, allows developers to host safe and scalable Git repositories. Whether you are managing a small project or handling a large-scale enterprise application, AWS CodeCommit offers a robust solution integrated seamlessly with other AWS services. In this podcast, we will walk through a real-world scenario where a development team needs to set up a Git repository for a project in AWS CodeCommit. We aim to implement a repository, configure the AWS CLI for seamless interaction, and demonstrate a proof of concept, PoC, by committing, pushing, and reverting code changes using AWS Cloud9. Step-by-step action plan. Detailed instructions for repository creation and AWS CLI configuration. Step 1. Creating an AWS CodeCommit repository. Log into the AWS Management Console and navigate to the CodeCommit service. Create a new repository by selecting the Create Repository button. Name the repository and optionally add a description. Configure repository settings such as tags, encryption, and AWS Key Management Service, KMS, keys if required. Complete the repository creation process by reviewing the settings and confirming. Step 2. Configuring AWS CLI for CodeCommit. Install the AWS CLI on your local machine if it still needs to be installed. This can be done using package managers like pip for Python. Configure the AWS CLI. Use the command AWS configure to configure the AWS CLI. You will need your AWS access key, secret access key, default region name, and output format. Test the CLI configuration by listing the repositories in CodeCommit with the command AWS CodeCommit list repositories. If successful, your repository should appear in the list. Proof of concept, PoC, demonstrating commit, push, and revert code changes in AWS Cloud9. 3.1 Setting up Cloud9 environments for simulation. Create a Cloud9 environment by navigating to the Cloud9 service in the AWS Management Console. Choose an environment type, EC2 or existing SSH server, based on your preference. Configure the environment settings, including instance type, storage, and network settings if using an EC2 instance. Launch the environment and wait for the IDE to be fully initialized. 3.2 Cloning and modifying code in the repository. Clone the CodeCommit repository in Cloud9 by running git clone CodeCommit repository URL greater than navigate to the clone directory using the terminal in Cloud9. Create or modify a file in the repository. For example, add a new Python script or edit an existing one. Stage and commit your changes using git commands, git add. You are followed by git commit m your commit message. Push the changes to the CodeCommit repository with the git push origin main. 3.3 Reverting changes and demonstrating rollback. Make an additional change to a file in the repository, then commit and push this change. Demonstrate a rollback by identifying the previous commit using the git log. Revert the changes using the command git revert commit ID greater than and push the reverted commit to CodeCommit. Verify the rollback by checking the file contents in the repository on AWS CodeCommit. Result and conclusion. Successful implementation and key takeaways from the project. By following this podcast, you have successfully created and configured a Git repository in AWS CodeCommit. You also demonstrated core Git operations, commit, push, and revert, using AWS Cloud9 as the development environment. This PoC showcases how AWS CodeCommit can seamlessly integrate into your development workflow, providing a secure and scalable solution for managing your codebase. Key takeaways. AWS CodeCommit offers a fully managed, scalable Git repository service. Integrating AWS CodeCommit with Cloud9 provides a seamless development experience. Git operations such as commit, push, and revert can be effectively managed using AWS services. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please share this podcast, visit our website and follow our social media links.